Welcome to another wonderful episode of Write and Shine, Shining Through Your Words series, proudly brought to you by Write and Shine Media House. My name is Magriet, and I am just so delighted about my incredible guests around the globe visiting me to tell their stories and the behind the scenes stories of why they wrote their stories. Catherine, please introduce yourself. I'm so delighted to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really my pleasure. I'm personal growth and business coach, and I love to say that I have a mission to help people do what they love. I wrote my book Live from Your Heart and Mind back in 2017, and it completely changed my life. Because prior to that, I was programmer and I never had a spotlight, but somehow my book found its way and I grew my own brand and my own business from that moment. And now I can say I really do what I love, and I would like everyone to feel and do something like that.
That is incredible, Catherine. I truly believe our pain becomes our purpose. Our frustrations even guide us into our destinies. Please share more about, you did share a little with me. My mouth is still hanging open. Please share more about, your path to where you are today.
Well, my story, sometimes I think about it as the most valuable thing that I ever have had in my whole life, although it was very, very difficult. I was born in former Yugoslavia, and it was such a beautiful country, but unfortunately during 90s, the civil war was happening, and I was only 17 years old when the bombing of my country started. And I encountered myself with my mom, my granny, and my brother underground in a basement of a hotel, not knowing if we will survive and live the next day. So that experience, especially for a teenager, left a very deep trail. And I promised myself if I survive, I will do my best to be a light in this world. I was a kid, I didn't understand much back then. So I went on the path we all take. I went on college, I graduated business information technology. I started working as a programmer, like, a normal kind of life under quotation marks. But then in 2008, I was diagnosed with Coxsackie virus. It was a bit late because it already, if I may say, damaged the cardiovascular system. So my heart was stopping 10 to 20,000 times a day, which was very serious. And doctors told me in that condition, I might live a year and a half. So I was a scientific person. I always had straight A's. I went to scientific center. I never saw anything else than what the science is. But my mom truly believed there has to be a cure. So she took me to a monastery on the Adriatic Sea. And I spent some time there praying with monks. And one monk said something which completely changed my life. He put his palm on my head and he said, "Everything is going to be okay. This world needs love and you are love."
Wow.
I was on my knees crying. I don't know. It was like I don't know for how long. It felt like a century. I went back home, did medical tests. I was perfectly fine.
Wow.
Uh, and that was the moment in my life which I didn't recognize back then, but now I can firmly say it was the beginning of my awakening. And the moment I started to learn a lot about personal growth, about spiritual growth, energy healing, and when the first lines of my book actually started to, I may say, write themselves using my own arm. So, yeah, my own
Yeah,
hand.
I absolutely also do the same type of writing as it flows from the heart. And that's why I resonate with your message so much. And I just want to honor your path, Catherine, because it couldn't have been easy. If I look at my son being 18, I can't even imagine what just that uncertainty and fear that you were confronted with when you were 17, and just to see, who you've become on the other side of all of those challenges. What advice would you give anyone? And I do want to throw it in. I actually also published a book this year based on trauma. It's basically called Found in the Aftermath, and I use the narrative of war as our emotional path, for our inner healing and stuff. So it's very interesting you share that, because it's so traumatic what you went through. And it's not just like an overnight thing and you're healed. So that's my question is, what advice would you give anyone going through extreme trauma at the moment? It's a very tough time of the year for some, losing loved ones during the year, going through turmoil. What advice would you give them?
Well, I wasn't even aware back then it was a trauma.
Yes.
Uh, I somehow thought these too shall pass.
Wow.
And the best advice I can give them is that everything is temporary. And we never know when the end of our life is going to happen. So I would like to say we need to cherish every single second, every single moment, especially with our loved ones.
Yes.
So from that moment, I don't live with regrets. I don't have any regrets. So if anything happens, whenever it does, when my time comes, I'm perfectly fine with it. So I found a balance in life between success and what it truly means to be joyful and to have a healthy family and to be, you know, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. So not even like even before these situations, I went through so many other difficult things. And, now when I look at that girl who I was, she was so brave. She was so strong, much stronger than I'm now. I'm a mom now. So, I take care of everything. I worry about everything. But she was different. She was so strong.
Mm.
And uh, I just wish to say, go deep within, hug that little child you were, because there is a reason why things happen as they did, because we wouldn't be who we are today if that wasn't so.
That is wonderful. And that's something I also want to encourage our listeners today. It's something that I also did, and it's to take a letter, write a letter to your younger self, and honor that little girl, take a picture. And yeah, definitely, that's wonderful advice, Catherine. I also believe in the inner child and to see each other's inner childs, even, if you have a
Yeah.
conflict with someone or really adore someone, it's beautiful to see the inner child of the person next to you. And my next question to you is, you mentioned the book changed your life. How would you say the book changed your life after writing and publishing it?
Well, first I was writing in Serbian. It was a blog, and I didn't have any traction in terms of people understanding the message which I wish to deliver. So I thought, what will happen if I translate this in English? Like, there are so many more people speaking English, and I tried that, and I got some traction, not so much, but I met one person who particularly changed the trajectory of the whole story. And I met him online, and he was already retired. He was a journalist. Now he's retired, and he already published several books himself. I didn't know that. We were talking online about some kind of, I think it was a Buddha's quote or something like that. And then I told him I wrote something, but would you like to see and maybe, tell me what you think? Because I saw his English was perfect. And he said, "Well, I'm a professional editor." And I said, "That's great, right? Let's talk about that." Unfortunately, back then the situation still wasn't so good. In Serbia, the average salary was something around 350, 400 euros, which on a plate when he said that editing process would cost 4.5 thousand dollars
Yeah.
was like, I definitely can afford that at that point, right? But then I was very honest, and he said, I read this and this has to go out. And
Wow.
here is the deal. We will work together. Every chapter I added, I will give you English lessons. You will learn that. And the only thing I ask is that you don't make the same mistakes in the next chapters. And I was like, well, I don't have anything to lose, right? I don't know anyone else. I will try that. And we worked for 6 months.
Wow.
And then we prepared quotes for publishing, and I was rejected 246 times
Mhm.
from different publishing houses in USA and UK until one small publishing house in Tennessee said yes.
Wow. It's a lot of
And
rejections.
it's a lot of yeah, but I couldn't deal that with that myself, and I didn't know the world of
Yes,
publishing. I,
yes,
I didn't have any experience with that, but he was there saying when one door's closed,
yes,
the other
yes.
one open. And then I met someone else who had a very strong online presence, Brian McGill, who wrote Simple Reminders, and he is a New York Times bestselling author. He also saw that, and he said, This has to go out.
Wow.
I will write you editorial review, and we will do this." So two people showed up. I can say out of nowhere, but I don't believe in that now.
Mm.
I believe we're guided.
Yes.
And my book became a bestseller. For me, that was a huge deal because it was in 8 categories on Amazon, very highly ranked. And my social media exploded because
Wow.
of Brian's support. And then I started growing my personal brand. It's really like the whole thing
Mhm.
of my life transformation happened with that, and I didn't even expect any of it. I just wrote my book.
That is incredible. And that's why, why I smile like this, because the power of your story, it's such a beautiful thing. There's so many things that keeps us away from sharing our story, all the excuses. And I mean, it's valid, me as well, not English is not my first language. So, it's one of the big things or excuses why I also didn't write in English initially. And there's so many other excuses, but I really want to congratulate you, and especially those, and that's why I was laughing because I was also rejected so many times in the publishing world. It's brutal. I actually like kept some of the letters, and some of them reject you so beautifully, It's like keep on trying. But it's really incredible not to give up and not to listen to those, but to go with your gut. I think there's something absolutely phenomenal in that process. What would you say to those today feeling like they want to give up on their dreams? What would you say to them?
Never give up on your dreams, because I went through more than 46 personal growth programs after that experience in monastery.
Yes.
And what I've learned is that there are so many levels of different awareness and consciousness that we actually have as human beings. And a dream is just a nudge for us to step on the path of our own purpose. And when we find our purpose, then we're not working or doing a job. We are actually delivering what we are here for to deliver. And
Wow.
the feeling is completely different. And there are going to be many ups and downs. I'm an entrepreneur now. There are going to be many people who will not understand. There are going to be many even haters, but they just need love.
Mhm.
So I would say focus on what your heart truly desire. My book is called Live from Your Heart and Mind, so it's primarily heart. And then we use mind to actually give birth to what our heart is desiring for. Um, so I would never give up on my dreams. There were so many things that were like, you know, were thrown at me for all of this time. But I know exactly where I'm going, and I know exactly why I'm going there. And I know exactly who I want to help on my path. And I believe that's legacy. So when you look back on your last day of life, for example, you can just say, way to go, girl, you did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
love it. And also that little inner child, give her a gold medal at the
yeah, for sure.
end.
She's going to get at least three
Gonna
gold medals.
stand there on the podium, very proud. Catherine, I do want to ask you as well. You've mentioned so many beautiful things that I resonate with, and I do want to ask you, what is your dream for your book?
Ah, my book actually presents a system which I have created out of 10 years of research. And I believe if people find peacefulness in themselves, there would be no need for conflict.
Wow.
So my book has a larger mission. I'm not sure how well it's going to be, accepted from every individual. But the main goal is for people to find balance, peace, and joy in their life, so they don't have a need for conflict in the society, and the whole humanity don't have a need for wars.
Wow.
I know that sounds like utopia, but as I mentioned, I went through that, and what is happening now in the world, it's really hurting me again. Um, some people are behaving like nothing happened in the past. It did happen. We shouldn't forget anything that happened. We shouldn't blame each other. We should try to find a way to bring peace to this world. So it's a kind of a toolkit for individual peace, so we can bring peace to the whole humanity. Unfortunately, some other people are making major decisions, but I believe if we start working on ourselves, uh, we might actually understand that by changing ourselves, we can change our surroundings and the whole landscape of the humanity.
Yeah, I love that so much. And that's something I also learned, as I grew along is you want to change the world, but it really starts with you. If you change yourself, change your family dynamic, like me being a mom of a son, it really is. That's the world. That really is the world in my eyes. That's
That's your
change
world,
it.
yeah. That is like your universe. That is your world.
Exactly.
So if as many people can get this message, this is why I speak about it. This is why I go live and record about this and everything, just to give them a hope that there is something they can do. Because I see a lot of people who believe they're hopeless, who
Yes,
believe they depend on a system, who believe like someone else has to decide in their name when that is actually not the truth. So
I love
this is
that.
my attempt to help those who actually find a way to to get the book.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting, me in South Africa as well. We live in a very, I want to say uncertain country because there's a lot of violence and crime and stuff in certain areas, not everywhere. But, it does have an influence on how you perceive the world. If you, and unhealed trauma, all that stuff has an influence. So I absolutely love your title. And I do think it's a way of living, is to live from the heart. I actually, interestingly enough, had a meeting just earlier today where I shared I only write from the heart. It's not a mind thing almost for me. It's first heart and then it goes to my mind, to unpack. So I do think it's a skill you learn. And you have developed a book to that, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I had no idea what I was doing back then, honestly, because because that was the collection of the research and all the messages I
Yes.
received through meditations and prayers and everything. Um, and now I see it as a kindergarten of personal growth, I have to say. I think
Wow.
it's time, it's maybe time for a new one, but also on the same mission.
That is
Yeah.
incredible. And Catherine, how can people reach out to you?
Well, the best way is to visit my website, catherinebiroy.com, or my other website, lhmacademia.com. But if they prefer social media, I'm everywhere, but LinkedIn is my favorite one. So
Amazing. I just want to say thank you again for coming to visit me today. I hope to see you again in future. With any book you publish, any program you launch, please come and visit me so that we can share more good news and hope. I absolutely love that you also share the message of love and hope. Thank you again for being here.
my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And for everyone who tuned in today, Catherine's story is just such a beautiful reminder of how our circumstances and what we went through does not label you and does not define who you are. And at the end of the day, all we need is love and, to give and show and share love through who we are, but also with what we do. Keep on writing and keep on shining and keep on loving.
Just watch me shine.